Hey there. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. My name is Dr. Angel Kreitz. I'm president of New Covenant University. We specialize in teaching leadership to Christian leaders, ministry leaders, and entrepreneurs. We have programs in education, counseling, ministry, theology, and leadership. So if you're interested, go ahead and take a look at our website, ncu.education. That's ncu.education, spelled all the way out. So I wanted to come on tonight and finish teaching the lesson that I started last Monday about what every leader needs to know. We ended with point 8 last week, and so I'm going to start on point 9. If you have this workbook, it has all the notes in it. These are my teacher's notes, but it has all of the notes in it. Fill in blanks and things like that. If you would like a copy of those notes, simply donate to our page at ncu.education. The suggested donation is $5 for soft copy. If you want one mailed to you, it'll be a suggested donation of $10 just to cover shipping and handling. So if you are interested in that, go on ahead and visit our website, go to the donations page, and there will be a space for notes there. So we want to accommodate you if you're genuinely interested in these courses. Also, just so you know, you don't have to attend college to receive the courses. You can decide that, hey, I want my leaders in my church to have this training, so let me go on ahead and purchase the workbooks and let them go through the YouTube videos to receive the same training that the NCU students are receiving. So just let us know how we can be of help. We're always here for you. All right, number 9. Number 9 of what every leader needs to know. Number 9 is to who and how to show respect and honor. You should know to who and how to show respect and honor. The proof of respect is the investment of time. The proof of respect is the investment of time. Now, you remember we talked about honor being the currency of kingdom. Honor is the currency of kingdom. And time is the currency of earth. A lot of people think, well, money is the currency of earth. Well, the yen is the currency of earth. Or gold is the currency of earth. Nay, nay. Because you trade your money for all of these, you trade your time for all of these things. You trade your time for it. These things are worthless unless something has been I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Trading money is worthless unless you.
Oh, these things are worthless. They were given a value when people started trading their time or services for it. A $100 bill is not worth more than $1 because that's how much it costs to make. And so we put our faith system in these things, but really the currency of earth is time. And once you've invested it, you can't get it back. There's no replacing time. Once you've invested your time, it's completely gone. So have the understanding that time invested is proof of your respect toward another. Respect is an attitude. It's an attitude. Some people don't understand the difference between honor and respect. Some people don't understand that. Let me tell you the difference between honor and respect. Respect is something you give another because of who they are, because of their position, because of who they are in your life, because you see them as someone to be respected. You've given them a certain level of authority. Respect is something you give someone because of who they are. Honor is different because honor is something you give someone because of who you are. I honor my students. I show up, I teach, I speak into your life, I pray for you, I invest in you. That's honor. That's giving honor. There are some people in your world that you both honor and respect. In fact, most of the time, whoever you honor, you do respect. Pastor Tim, oh, I loved your post. Thank you so much, sir. That really blessed me today. Honor is a demonstration. Honor is a demonstration. Remember now, wisdom is the discernment of who to honor. Some people say to me, why is it so important that you honor people? Why is it so important to God who you honor? Well, I'll tell you why, because honor creates access. Honor creates access. Where it comes to honor, you as Christian leaders must not only master an uncommon way of honoring, but you also must master an uncommon way of receiving honor. I can't tell you how many times I have encouraged somebody and they've, for lack of a better term, they've just pooped on it. They've been like, oh, well, I don't, it'll just give it all to Jesus. No, I'm honoring you with my words of affirmation. Here's the correct response. Thank you so much. That blesses me. You're a great encouragement in my world. The way you receive honor will dictate if you are honored well in the future. Let's normalize honor being part of our culture in bringing kingdom to earth. There is nothing like attending church where everyone is honoring of everyone else. I'm going to give you an example. Is Michael Morlock here? He is. Okay. So we had a training for the ushers. And one of the things that I said was, I would like to see if a gentleman could be on the floor of the stage, because a lot of times, sometimes people will help and not understand it. But if we're walking up and down the stairs to the platform, I have a propensity to clumsiness. I know it's hard to believe. I'm not all grace and beauty, but I do have a propensity to clumsiness. So I mentioned in my teaching, we have to have men on the floor, not on the steps, because if they're on the steps and I lose my balance, you going down too. I promise you. But they're on the floor and they hold their hand out so that it makes me a little bit more stable, a little bit more confident to descend those stairs just fine. And we've been doing that. Hey, I just want to greet Renato Todd. Thank you for joining us. I see Maribel's back on. So grateful for you guys. Ever since I taught that, I have not had to navigate those stairs without the help of somebody. And the other day, someone came up to me and they said, wow, didn't you see how great it is that the ushers are really starting to help people up and down off the stage? And I thought that was such a little thing. I'm surprised anyone noticed at all. But here's what people notice without even realizing that they're seeing it, is honor in action. I care about my family. I care about the people here. I honor them. Honor is kingdom currency. Now, dishonor can create loss, even generational loss. Even generational loss. When you dishonor someone, you close the doors to the access. Even if they're nice, even if they're kind, Even if it doesn't really faze them, they're not going to be so open to working with you. They're going to remember that dishonor. Can you have a bad day? Yes, but habitually practice honor so that small offenses can be overlooked. Hannah, are you driving? Pop off, lady. You sure you want to? I don't want you to interact. Turn your camera off. Just listen to us.
I'm riding, so I'm not actually driving.
Okay.
But I'm in a car.
Okay, good. I'm very concerned. I don't want you to hurt yourself. Okay, well, it's good to see you. Okay, number 10, the 4 spiritual laws of leadership. Number 10, 4 spiritual laws of leadership. Are you ready for them? Because I know I'm the type of teacher, I leave a lot of blanks. Get your hand warmed up. Okay. Number 1, you can only live what you know. You can only live what you know. That's why it's so important that we're always in the mindset of growing. Always inquisitive, asking questions like crazy. You can only live what you know. That's why a lot of people, have you ever heard of, I don't know, I know in other countries they don't have it quite this way, but I know that there's a welfare system in the United States of America. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's good that we have that. I've seen other countries where that does not exist, so I think it's a very good thing that we have it. Here's where I think it's problematic, is when my great-great-grandmother was on it, not mine personally, but for example, and I'm still on it in our family. You tend to only live what you know. If you've known poverty your whole life, if you've known poverty for generations of your life, then you're only going to live that. That's why you have to constantly seek to know other things. Number 2, you can only reproduce who you are. Now that's scary. That was a very scary thing for me. That was a scary realization for me. Caused me to become very introspective. Caused me to seek God way more. You know that teeny tiny little verse in the Bible that says, more of you, less of me? Hey, Lynn, can you look up where that is? Is that in John? I want to say it's in John.
John 3:30, Dr. Angel.
Yes, rock on. He gets the extra credit this time. I'm sorry. Oh, man. That carried me through my 20s. That drove my hunger. You can only reproduce who you are. As a Christian leader, when you hear that, that should make you want him so much more. I've been on the receiving end of ministers and leaders who do not have a passion to seek God all the time. And what they produce is a product or an attitude or a way that is not of God, but they believe it is. That's not what I want to replicate here. First and foremost, passion for God. C, you can only create a future by sowing a seed into your present. Nothing happens without investment, guys. You're investing in yourselves right now. You're investing in your future right now because you're sitting here listening to this teaching. You're sowing your time. Sowing, people don't understand, and I'm speaking to Christian leaders right now. He does want us to know him, yes, Pastor. So people want to believe that receiving money as seed is so wrong for churches. But we saw during COVID the effect of the lack of church had on society. Now, government, secular world doesn't want to admit that there was a real loss, but there was. Depression rates soared high. Loneliness, insane. More suicide rates. There was a lack of accountability where children came. Homeless people went without food for an awful long time. The church does so much. I'm willing to invest monetarily into a ministry so that it can be in our future. I don't ever want there to be a time when my daughter is feeling absolutely alone, isolated, depressed, beaten up by the world system, and not be able to walk into a church with open arms. Someone says, well, you have an idealistic view of the church. Listen, I promise there are good churches out there. And this group, our group here at NCU, we're working toward making it even better and more godlike. Don't give up on the church just because you've been hurt. Number 4, you can only change seasons by recognizing who God sent into your present. You can only change seasons by recognizing who God sent into your present. Remember, we talked about this in our last week, is that sometimes we as leaders become so focused, we aren't looking to learn. We aren't looking for the gift in others. We aren't looking for what other people have. You know, when God wants to bless you, he sends a person. When the enemy wants to hurt you, he sends a person. Everything is done in relationship. Everything is done in relationship. If things could be done without relationship, God wouldn't have sent Christ. He wouldn't have sent Jesus. He sowed Jesus into the world so that we could have relationship with him. Anyone have any questions about the 4 spiritual laws of leadership? Nope, okay. Number 11, you will always need mentors, always. Always. You're always going to need them. There's never a time in your life where you know everything. There are 2 ways to learn. You've heard it 3 times in the last week. 2 ways to learn, M&Ms, mistakes and mentors. Thank you, Pastor. That honors me. Pastor Tim Kellogg says, thankful he put you here for our season. I'm blessed. Maribel, I'm sorry. You just had to give up on that Zoom, but it's good to see you here on Facebook. And if you have any questions, I am paying attention to the chat stream. 2 ways to learn, mistakes and mentors. Mentors represent an exit from your past and an entrance to your future. Mentors represent an exit from your past and an entrance to your future. Now, that is, if you choose a mentor who is already or has been already where you want to go. If you tell me the voice you're listening to, I will tell you your future. Don't be listening to Bubba who wants a 6-pack in exchange for his advice. Don't do that. Listen to someone who knows something about where you're going. Mr. Todd is laughing at me tonight. Mr. Todd, you know somebody like that?
For sure.
A mentor is someone who knows what you don't know. You remember when I talked about how the bad thing about being stupid is that you don't know that you're being stupid? Like you're the last one to know you're being stupid, right? And then by the time you figure it out, you get all embarrassed. But a mentor, if you submit yourself under a mentor, if you say to somebody, hey, you got to be my mentor. I want to know what you know. I'm going to honor you for your wisdom. I'm going to show up with a gift. I'm going to show up with a pen and paper. I'm going to value your words. Because a mentor will say, hey, listen, you didn't know this, but it saves you questions that you don't even think of asking. Do you know how priceless that is? So priceless. Mentorship will require your pursuit. Mentorship is not for the lazy. You can ask Miss Hannah. I have a million things going on in any given day. And she knows. Hey, Dr. Angel, we have an appointment today. Did you want me to call you or I call? Or how do you want to do that? Or do you want to call? She will remind me. She will pursue me. She lets me know that she understands my time is valuable. And she treats it very special. She has pen and paper when she talks to me. And she'll follow up when I forget things because she knows. Mentors are very busy people. Always be willing to pursue your mentor. I remember making 8 phone calls to my mentor to talk to him for 15 minutes. I know the mentors that I have now in my life. Sometimes it takes 6 to 8 weeks to get into them and talk to them for half an hour. And some of my mentors are simply authors who write books, and I just read all of their stuff. The greatest mentor on earth is the Holy Spirit. Don't ever forget that. The greatest mentor on earth is the Holy Spirit. We'll trade mentoring for bacon. Okay. Remember, I'm a reformed meatitarian. I now am a pescatarian. We're going to have to talk in terms of sushi, Lisa. The greatest mentor on earth is the Holy Spirit. Learn to hear his voice. Hearing the voice of God is the single most important responsibility of a Christian leader. We think it's all these other things. All of that is just things. All of that is just stuff. Visitation, studying the Bible, speaking with elegance, having catchy things to say, even mentorship is all just stuff compared to hearing the voice of God. Nothing compares to it. And then lastly, never allow your relationship with your mentor to become familiar. Let me define familiarity one more time for those in the back row. Familiarity is looking more at the negative traits of a human being than at the positive traits of a human being. I understand that we're talking about mentorship, but I do not believe you should become overly familiar with anyone in your life, especially not your spouse. The minute you start becoming overly critical of a spouse who is genuinely trying and does not have toxic traits but happens to just be human, is the minute your relationship starts degrading. Your marriage is your second most important relationship on the planet. And then there's your children. I had to have 4 children before I finally got it. Before I finally understood. Oh, this is how to have a great relationship with our kids. Got it. So grateful my kids are full of grace. Don't become overly familiar with anyone. What is familiarity? Looking more at the negative than the positive traits. How does God look at you? When God sees you, what does he see? Does anyone know the answer to that? Come on, it's in the Bible. Paul wrote it.
The righteousness of Christ Jesus.
Extra credit for her. Mark it down.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, right.
You get extra credit too.
He's sinless.
That's right. He doesn't see your negative qualities. He sees the righteousness of Jesus Christ. Look at people through God's eyes. And don't ever stop that. You will change a human being's life. People may forget what you say. People may forget what you do for them, but they will never forget that you believed in them. Number 12. If you're worried about being misunderstood, you don't worry about that. Don't worry about being misunderstood, because you will be. You don't have to worry about it. It's going to happen. Don't look at me in that tone of voice. Just is what it is. Oh, God rarely copies his instructions that he gave you. Have you ever seen that show? Oh gosh, what was that? Home Improvement with Tim Allen. Okay, if you've never seen it, here's the setting. Here's a suburban.
I loved it.
Isn't it great? So here's this suburban guy who's married, has 3 kids, and every once in a while his wife gets mad at him or he has a problem. So what does he do? He goes out in his backyard and he's talking through a 6-foot fence to his very wise neighbor called Wilson. And Wilson will explain things to him just perfectly and say, well, listen, this is what's going on and this is how to fix it. And Tim will understand it. But when he tries to say what it is, he messes it all up and makes his wife even more mad at him. You remember that?
Yes.
It is so funny to watch. Guys, that's what happens with us. When we get an instruction, when we catch the vision, sometimes we try to explain to other people and we're misunderstood. Because we conveyed it wrong, probably. Sorry, Pastor Tim. That's just how it is. Learn quickly to overcome the judgment and criticalness of others. That's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Oh, I wish Joe Doherty were on here. I'm going to have to send him this link. When I first became a widow and I started carrying the ministry myself, I had so many people who loved Dr. Kreitz. And I would teach some of his same things. Why? Because I had been his protege for 10 years. Longer by the time he passed. Before we were married, before we even started dating, I had been his protege for 6 years. And then we got married and it was an additional 11. So almost 20 years I was his protege. Of course, I'm going to say a lot of the things that he taught me, of course, but with my own filter. And so many people criticized. And I said, listen, God gave him a word. God gave me a word. I'm not trying to imitate him. I'm trying to carry on a legacy here. But that stopped me from doing a lot of what I should have been doing right in 2022. Don't let people's criticalness stop you from doing anything. Overcome their judgment and their criticism by these two things. Knowing who you are. Hi, Bev Lomax. Thank you so much for joining me. Know who you are. Number one. It's hard for people to shake you when you know who you are. Dr. Mike Murdock looked at me when I was at probably the lowest point of my self-esteem ever in my whole life. And I remember I was telling him, I said, it's so hard for a woman in ministry. And he said, keep going. You're better than all of them. Keep going. You're better than all of them. Remember who you are. And every time he sees me on his live, he speaks into my life. He believes in me. He reminds me who I am. I have another minister in my life. I'll call crying. I don't know what I'm doing. This is so big for me. And you know what he does? He says, Angel, put that black suit on that you have with your white shirt. And you get up there behind that pulpit and you say exactly what you have been saying the whole time. You don't know your value right now, but you need to remember who you are. Let me tell you, remember your identity. Be convinced of who God said you are. Be convinced of who God said you are. I gotta be honest, I'm not one who thinks that I have it all together. I don't believe that I'm that talented. I don't believe that anything in me is of any value to humankind, but except this, except God has made me. God has made me to be a blessing. Every good thing that you see is God in me coming out. So if you have nothing to hold on to, if you're like Catherine Coleman, and I remember her saying, oh my Lord, I am not talented. I am not anything. I can't sing. I can't put two words together. But God. Be convinced of that. So that when they're tempted to criticize you, they're not criticizing you, but it's God working through you. You know that. And then number two, knowing where you are going. Know where you're going. Know what's going to happen at the end. When we know what's going to happen at the end, we win. God wins. D, remember, like Jesus, you will be misunderstood by those closest to you. Your family is going to be the first one to misunderstand you. It's funny how God gives you a family before he gives you enemies. That's okay. You need the practice. And when someone judges you, they are not defining you. They are defining themselves. When someone judges you, they are not defining you, they are defining themselves. I find it funny sometimes I'll hear the accuser come right out of another Christian's mouth. You ever known that kind of person? You think, man, I'm glad they're on my side. I'm glad they believe in Jesus, maybe. But you hear those accusations and you think, wow, they are notably their words are notably representing what they normally do, and they don't even realize it. Love them anyway. Be patient. 13, routine is powerful. Routine is very powerful. Routine is the invisible secret to success. What you are doing daily determines what you are becoming permanently. That very fictional character, Rocky Balboa, worked out every single day. But that very fictional character was also based on very real characters. Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, the greats of boxing. By the way, I grew up watching boxing. Fun fact about Dr. Angel, you didn't know? I used to love that Eye of the Tiger. There you go. You must change your day in order to change your life. You must change your day in order to change your life. I've had students before tell me that they've actually deleted video games off of their devices just so that they could change their days. That's going to lead to a success. What you are doing daily is creating what you are becoming permanently. I already said that, I think. A habit is anything you do twice. Now for me, I have to do it 14 times because I'm stubborn like that. But a habit is anything you do twice, and habits create routines. Habits create routines. Sometimes a habit is important during a season. You develop seasonal habits. There were times in my life where I learned to sit out on my front porch and for a season spend hours talking to the face in front of me, which was my friend or whoever it was that sat with me. I had seasons in my life I needed that. But if I did, Mr. Todd says he has to do it 30 times. Well, that's a special kind of stubborn. But there are seasons when you're going to have to take a step back and do things that you won't normally do. And we'll get into that in our teaching. There are seasons you have to take and create a different routine for yourself in order to support your destiny. A lot of people don't believe in sabbaticals. I believe in them. I think they're very important. You must take one. If you're in full-time ministry, you definitely must take them. I believe everyone in full-time ministry should take a month every year. Actually, you should take 6 weeks but a month will do. I remember when we ran a church, Dr. Kreitz and I, the month of December, we took off by doing this, not by being absent from our church, but by allowing our members to do all of the speaking, all of the praying, all of the ministry work behind it. And we just sat back and were ministered to. Anyway, food for thought. Number 14, people see you before they hear you. People see you before they hear you. Now, I'm sorry to give you that tough reality, but that's just, it is what it is. People make their judgments about you within the first 30 seconds of seeing you. When I get on Facebook, that's right, Pastor Tim, vacay will help you stay. When I first get on Facebook, I usually get about 5, 6, 7 viewers because we have a very small page. But I notice within the first 2 minutes, people drop off because they're bored by my commercial. I have 30 seconds to make an impact, and a lot of it is based on how I look. I had a mentor in 2021 who told me, if you're going to do Facebook Live, never do Facebook Live without makeup and your hair being done. Well, I've broken that rule. But I do know that when I'm wearing makeup, I get more views. It just is what, it's human nature. It's human nature. Am I vain? No, but I do believe in presenting the best version of myself. People see you as a walking message center. If you're wearing a uniform, if you're wearing a police officer, what kind of message are you sending? I have a certain amount of authority. If you're wearing a gorilla mask and carrying a gun and walking into a bank, what kind of message are you sending? You must package yourself for where you are going, not where you have been. Package yourself for where you are going, not where you have been. Someone says, well, do you have Bible for that? Absolutely. Absolutely, I have Bible for that. Joseph didn't appear in the palace with his prison garb on. Look it up. He dressed for the occasion. Number 15, the importance of a name. Stop making excuses and start remembering names. Lord, I feel convicted every time I teach this. I'm trying, truly I am. Whew. I was really proud of myself though, because I've been working on it. I substitute teach sometimes, and I was in a group of second graders, and I realized I had never been in this group before, but I remembered 7 of their names today. And used to, I couldn't remember any of them. Well, I could, but only if I had to repeat calling their name over and over again. But no, I even remembered the good kids this time. The greatest sound in the universe is your name. When someone calls you by your name, something happens on the inside. No one succeeds alone. You have to have names. You need names. Create a system to collect, coordinate, and contact new people. What do I have? Hang on. I got something I want to show you. Look, it's show and tell time. So I've got this book of business cards. I have business cards in here from 2 decades ago. But if I need my roof fixed, I know who to call. Because now they've been in business for 20 years. They gotta be reliable. The Bible is about names. God even renamed some people. If the Apostle Paul had more friends, we would have a bigger Bible. You say, why is that? I hear you asking me, why is that? Why? What does the difference? Because he'd have wrote more letters. He'd had more people to write to. You need to know names and recognize them often. Number 16, patience pays off. Patience pays off. Don't rush anything. Don't say stay stagnant, but don't rush anything. Nobody is as they first appear. No one. Not me, not you. No one is as they first appear. Be patient in drawing conclusions. Someone walks into your church, you're like, oh man, that person looks rough. They might just be having a bad day. Don't be drawing conclusions. Then you might have someone who comes in looking like $1 million, but they aren't quality on the inside because they haven't grown yet. Patience is a weapon that forces any deception to reveal itself. Patience is a weapon that forces any deception to reveal itself. Thank you, Hannah. When you don't wait, you push on doors that God hasn't opened yet. And if you push on doors that God hasn't opened yet, that's a painful place.
Dr. Angel, ma'am, could
Yes.
I ask clarification? Pushing on doors that you just said. I know I've spoken before with you about my belief in spiritually aborting something if you're doing it too soon. Would that be similar to what you've just said?
I believe so. I believe so.
Thank you.
Yeah, because a lot of times if you push too hard, it kind of, you blow up your fish. Everyone involved in it is like, it's too much too soon, can't do that. Yeah. I have to be careful. You know, I know that right now our university combines classes. So I have people who are listening to me who are postgraduates, and I have people who are listening to me who are undergraduates. And I can guarantee you, because I'm the type of person who teaches to the upper middle, that my undergrads are going to be calling me, asking me tons of questions or disagreeing with me. It's because sometimes they're not always ready for the information, but we do it for now anyway. But yeah, sometimes it's a possibility that you have to take some things very slowly. You have to take some things very slowly. I wouldn't walk into a church. I think the biggest contrast I've ever seen was when I was in Orlando, there's a church called the Jesus Culture. Have you ever heard of that? They're a very, like, let's begin kind of church. It's Christian 101. Let's start our Christian walk. And then in the same area, there's Mark Sharona's church, which is for the very seasoned people who have read and studied the Bible before. And there is no way that the people at Jesus Culture could handle the teachings from Mark Sharona's church and vice versa, because we would, you know, anyway, yes, you would definitely, and it's not that his theology is bad. It's just that some folks aren't ready to hear all the things. That's why Jesus spoke in parables. You know, he that has an ear, let him hear. Take from it what you will, what you're ready for. All right. If we're good, oh, hang on just a second. Thank you so much for joining us on Facebook. Especially to Maribel, I'm going to exit out of this and I'm going to start a new video straight away. So stay on this page. See you soon.